It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
SKOR North Twins Show. We can't play the music, but it's the return. You rock the thuggish, ruggish bone, right, for your walk-up music? Trevor Plouffe
Yeah.
at Target Field.
I had
You
a
can't
couple.
play
That
that.
was one of them.
What was the other one?
I had When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. So
That's right.
both of them. Love both those songs.
Yeah.
Okay, love it. Well, Trevor Plouffe Tuesdays, man, we're back. Coach Trev, welcome back to the SKOR North Twins Show, man.
I'm excited to be back. Obviously, that means baseball season is here, but I miss chopping it up with the boys on a Tuesday. So this is really nice. I appreciate. Now this is our second year doing it. I was happy when you guys reached out because I was looking forward to doing it again, and here we are.
It was on our calendar to reach out like way earlier in the off season, and I will admit it popped up in January, and then I forgot to reach out, and I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I finally we texted you, like and you insta replied like I've been waiting for you guys to ask me back.
Let's
Did
go,
we break
man.
up? So
Way to go,
You
Matt.
said they were working on your contract, so that was a big deal
That's
throughout
right.
the off season. It was the
Yeah.
story of the off season.
10
for
years.
SKOR
a
North.
very Mike Trout like.
It's
Actually, it's
done.
going to wind up being
Oh,
an
wow.
Albert Pujols like
10 years.
contract. The last 5 years are going to be
No
just a
outs.
disaster. By the way, where do we get the fresh Twins hat that you're wearing right now?
This is like a company, I guess. Can I give them a shout out? I don't know. It's called Diet
Yeah.
Starts Monday, kind of like a streetwear brand. So it says that right
That's right.
there. But yeah, it's cool, right?
It's nice. Yeah, it's really cool. I like that one.
Starts Monday.
All right, we're definitely
Back
going
in,
to bookmark
back in
that one.
Judd's day, it looked like this.
Yeah.
Little flat brim. I like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
you
it.
know what's funny? Like I feel like, do you guys ever? My wife and I sometimes will. There's a vintage convention going on at the convention center like 2 weeks ago, and if we see a vintage store, we're suckers for just jumping into a vintage store. The amount of 1987 and 1991 Twin stuff. We were in kind of your neck of the woods a couple weeks ago. We took a little 3-day weekend trip down to like San Diego, Encinitas, a little south of Trevor
Beautiful.
Plouffe territory. And we went to a random outdoor like vintage market in Encinitas, and they had 3 1991 Twins white sweatshirts, crew necks.
Wow.
With that, like that's the
yeah.
logo that you're rocking right now, the classic championship logo.
What do they call like the change of net worth right now? The silver something? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
That's what
change
the
of
what
net worth.
what the kids are saying, or
Yeah,
have
it's
no
like
idea.
this thing. They're calling it the silver something. And it's basically like the transfer of wealth from, I don't know if it was the boomers down to whatever it is now. Maybe that's the time right now. 87, 91 is about the time that everyone's giving up their gear. Maybe that's what it is.
oh yeah. So if you're moving
got it.
out of your home and you're downsizing or something, you're probably selling your 1987 Twins.
So
So
old
say you
cards.
were 30 years old in 1991. How long ago was 1991? 33 years ago. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
Judd was in peak form for both those World Series.
I was
Oh,
-1. Yeah.
In 91, I was 21. It was
oh my
fantastic.
god.
Oh, those. That
You
was
thought,
such a
oh,
great-
this is gonna be great. Every like 3 years, the Twins are gonna win a World
87,
Series.
I was 17.
and-
I was like, this is great. And then the 91 though. So my future wife Dawn and I were at a Perkins after Game 6, and I had been to Game 7, Trev, in 87, and I was sitting there, and she cares about sports barely, but I remember telling her, I'm like, you got to be aware, we're going to Game 7 tomorrow. And this is beyond special. Like this doesn't happen.
honey, I'm gonna mansplain
And this
the
is going
hell
to be
out of
my
this right now.
first, and this is going to be my no. I would want anyone to know. I would want anyone to know the importance of being at a Game 7 because at
You
the time
understand
I'm like,
the
this won't
magnitude.
Do you know? I proved to be a prophet. I had no idea I'd be here 2025, age of 55. Haven't sniffed a Game 7 since.
Did she, in retrospect, did she understand the gravity and the importance of
No.
the sports moment? No.
No. In the 10th score, no score. She gets up and is waving her hanky. And I'm like, you got to watch this. Don't just wave that hanky. You got to watch what's about to happen. Arguably the greatest Game 7 of all time, right?
Yeah, oh,
Smoltz,
yeah.
Yeah.
Blackjack. Oh my gosh. When Larkin hit that ball, I teared up.
Oh yeah,
Old Gino, man. Yeah.
I just teared up. I was like, this is unbelievable. This is one of the most phenomenal sporting events. I'm 21. There is a chance, and now it looks like a really good chance. I will never attend a game like this again in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's fair to say. You might see another World Series title, but not a Game 7 like that. That's first of all, no pitcher is throwing a complete game ever again in the history of the sport. So
Rocco would carry him off.
I mean, yeah. Can you imagine?
He would have picked Jack Morris up and like hauled him away.
Can you imagine like a modern day manager after about 6 1/3 come walking out to grab Black Jack Morris.
Oh my gosh, that's
just
good
punch
stuff
him down.
right there.
So boys, we're gonna do a little bit of like a preview episode here and kind of give like Twins MVP, breakout player, rookie of the year, dream trade deadline target. I will say before we get into that, roster is pretty much set here from Fort Myers. Randy Dobnak, the Dobber, is going to get that last spot in the Twins bullpen with Brock Stewart starting the year on the IL. So the Dobber is back. He's probably their swing man and break glass in case of emergency, but the Dobber's back on the roster, Trev.
Love it, man.
This is great because there's a guy, JC Escara, who's the backup catcher for the Yankees who just made the team. Do you know what he did in his off seasons as well? Uber driver. If they faced each other, I mean, talk about the chances for a partnership with Uber. Like they need to get on this, guys.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was great. Man,
and Yankee fans trolled Dobnak in the playoffs by chanting Uber driver.
And now they love Escara. Oh, what a story.
Such a great story.
Hypocrites.
Yeah. Till there's men on first and second in the do or die playoff game and the crowd's chanting at you.
I say the Red Sox go get Lyft just to be a little bit of a bastard. Just go get Lyft as their sponsor, just to spite the Uber of the Yankees.
It's harder to chant that because it's a one word, Lyft driver.
It's not
you bum. Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's bat around this first one here. Twins MVP. I'll kick us off here because I think this one for me is it's a little more challenging to pick because offensively there's three guys I know that are the mainstays, but they battle injuries. Can you rely on them for 162? My Twins MVP pick for 2025, I'm going with Pablo Lopez. I need Pablo to be this team's MVP. Now, this pitching staff's deep. I really like what the pitching staff brings. And Pablo last year traditionally had a step back in some of those traditional statistics. Advanced metrics said he was still really good, just like he was in 2023. But visually, you could tell there was maybe a half step back from a really good 2023 season. They need this guy to be their ace. They need him to set the tone. He will likely start a game one playoff game if they get there. My Twins MVP pick for 2025 is Pablo Lopez.
Coach Trev?
I like it. I had this question posed to me the other day, and it's like, what is the Twins' identity? You know, we see teams like the Brewers, it's kind of like run prevention athleticism. For the Twins, I feel like a lot of people that are really ingrained in the metrics will say, well, their team identity's got to be their pitching. It's got to be their starting pitching. It's got to be that bullpen. And I don't know if I necessarily like agree with that, but I guess that is their identity, you know, if we're really looking at everything. So yeah, I mean, if they're going to go far, they have to have that go right for them. I'm still interested to see like how the back end of the rotation is at the end of the year. But you're right. If they want to go far, they need a stopper. They have, I mean, it's interesting you went with Pablo Lopez because I feel like you can kind of interchange him, Bailey Ober, and Joe Ryan, and they're all very, very important to this team. But yeah, I like it. I like it.
All right. Okay. Who's yours? Who's your 6 months from now?
At first, I wanted to say Matt Wallner because I just feel like he's just lying in the weeds, ready to go, and maybe someone's going to use him for their breakout player. I don't know, but I'll go with Carlos Correa because I really just feel like he's the captain of the team right now, and how he goes and how his attitude is, and like the team will follow what he does. So if he's playing, you know, not every day, but let's get him 135, 140 games. If he's in there, the leadership to me is what kind of makes him my team MVP. So I'll go with him. I think there's still a lot of good baseball left in him. The projections really like him this year. And again, I think just for like the clubhouse leadership and, you know, the attention to detail, the work ethic, all those things, him making sure like they want to be fundamentally sound this year. Like everything starts with Carlos Correa and that kind of how he approaches the game. So I'll go with Correa as my MVP.
I agree completely. And in fact, I don't think this team has a chance in hell of being successful unless he plays consistently. So like if he is not, if he plays again 86 games, they're sunk. They have no one to replace him. Coach Trev is right. He's the heartbeat. Like he is. They follow him. When he goes sour, they go sour. The clubhouse in September became, in my opinion, fairly toxic, and it wasn't that he turned on his teammates, but he clearly was not pleased with what he saw. Problem is, he had missed a ton of time, so it's hard. I think, and Trev can confirm this, I think it's harder to lead and say, let's do this when you have been out for months. So if he's not the MVP, I think this is like a third place team.
I agree with you. I mean, you have to be playing to really have your voice mean something, unless you're, I mean, like Carlos Correa is kind of one of those guys that's earned that, but it just means so much more if you're in there in the trenches every single day. I agree with that.
So, Joe, you're going Carlos Correa times 2 on the MVP?
Because I think it has to be him.
I've got these all pre, so like if I had Correa, it would be times 3 here. I wouldn't switch up on the fly. I'm going with my original MVP. I think we're going to get the second career 120 plus game season from Byron Buxton. There's a certain, I know that we kind of do this this is the healthiest he's been since whenever, but there is a certain just non-existence to his offseason in a good way, where we haven't been talking about what he's rehabbing. He's gone through a normal spring training. When he was healthy last year, he did play 100 games for the second time in his career, and he was really productive. And if you look, I'm going to go in the weeds here just a little bit. Big analytical nerd here. If you look at his last 6 seasons, so ages 25 through age 30, he's been worth per 162 games 6.5 wins above replacement, which again, he doesn't play 162 games, so it's kind of unfair to do this. But if you were to take a 6.5 win player over a full season, any year in the entire league, like he would be a top 10 position player. Mm-hmm. So he is a top like 12 to 15 position player still at age 30 on a per game basis. And I think we're going to get 120 games out of Byron Buxton, which will make him easily one of the most valuable players in the American League.
I'd call him the X factor. Like I agree. Like Carlos to me is kind of like leading that team, but Byron in the lineup like that changes everything. He doesn't have to be the leader, which I think he likes. There's actually a split screen video. I believe it was Parker Hagerman. Is that how you say his last name?
Hageman. Yep.
Hageman
from Twins Daily.
He was putting out like a little swing change from 2024 to 2025 with Byron. It kind of looked the same to me. Hands are a little lower, I believe, this year. But what it looks like is he's stronger. Like the core is holding everything tight, so his movements are more precise. Not a lot of wasted movement. And the way you get there as a hitter is you got to be strong. When you feel strong, all your moves are, like I said, just very, precise. And that's what it looks like right now. So, that obviously accounts for a healthy offseason. And when you go into a season feeling like that, it changes a lot of things. So I'm happy to see he looks great in spring training. Love that pick. I mean, yeah, he's a stud, man.
Yeah,
how important?
He's like a what if case. If you had gotten 120 to 140 games over, I mean, he'd literally be a Hall of Fame candidate playing till he was 35 years old. It's just you can't replace the missed game. Sorry, Dex.
No, you're good. I mean, Trev, how important too was it, I guess, for the Twins to really get a good also insurance plan like in Harrison Bader and Bader's bat, like, I guess maybe cross your fingers, but at the same time, his glove is so good and so valuable. And I guess we're probably also going to see him in the corners a little bit too. But this year they went in with the plan of, hey, if Buck does miss, let's call it 30 or 40 games, you actually have a legitimate defensive backup center fielder that can back him up if he can't play.
Yeah, I feel like there's always kind of been that on the Twins roster in recent years. Somebody that can at least handle center field, but I think Bader is on a different level than what we've seen him bring in the years past. I like him as a player. We saw him like get red hot. Was that in the playoffs for the Yankees?
Yeah. So
hey, man, like you put him in, and he has the ability to, be a force, not just a fill-in, which is nice.
All right, breakout player. So guy that's on the cusp of maybe a big season here. And I think there's actually a lot of fun candidates. For me, I'm actually going to go. And last year, you maybe could say he already did break out, but I think you're going to see a full-on breakout this year. And for me, that's Trevor Larnach. I think this year he puts everything all together. So last season was an encouraging year for him after almost flirting with, is this guy going to be a bust of a first-round pick? He can't really get on the field all the time with the Twins. He's in AAA all the time. He's striking out a lot, cuts down on the strikeout rate, great contact hitter, really fun and interesting guy to talk to just about hitting too. He kind of has very good nuance. He changed agencies and representation going in to 2024, and that helped him kind of reset things. I know he works out with Royce in the offseason too. I think this is the year, and if he also gets run against lefties, and I know that's more of is that a Trevor Larnach problem, or is that a managerial problem not giving him at-bats against lefty on lefty, even if the splits say he's obviously a lot better against righties? I think this is the year you see a full-on breakout from Trevor Larnach.
I like that. I think, being around him a little bit, seeing his personality, I think what he needs more than anything is just to be like, he needs Rocco to go, Trev, you're going to be in there every day. Like, go play. Like, you're our guy. Like, I think he needs that because he has been up and down. I feel like he has been, at times, taking maybe some bad press, or he's the kind of guy. I say this all the time about managers. You have to know who needs a kick in the ass or a hug, a tap on the butt. Like, I think he needs a hug. I think he needs, and that's fine. I was the same way. Like, if you would come at me and you were, telling me I sucked or I do this wrong, like, I'm not going to respond to that. I didn't. But if you told me, I'll give you an example. Gene Glenn, I think I've given this story before, when he came on as the infield instructor, he in spring training says you could win a Gold Glove, and I laughed at him, and I was like, okay, that's like great, thanks for bringing me down. He's like, no, I'm serious. Why can't you win a Gold Glove? And he kept telling me that all throughout the year. And man, my metrics went up like crazy that year because they instilled a little bit of confidence in me. I think Larnach's that guy. Like, just tell him you're gonna be out there. We need you to be the guy. Go be the guy. I think that would do a lot for him.
So you're like a feedback sandwich guy, where if someone comes in and says, listen, man, you're a badass, you're going to be a Gold Glove winner. No, we need you to do this to get there. But dude, you're a badass. You're going to just put that feedback right in the middle.
Yeah, I think, like, again, that's the part of a manager's job and a coaching staff for that matter. Like, you have to know what motivates people. And I really do believe, like, you guys have been around him. Like, he needs a hug. Give him a hug, man.
This is where the metrics, right? Which, by the way, are fine. I'm an old guy. I'm not complaining. They can help a lot. But this is where, as the youth comes along to manage and run clubs, that gets lost at times. Because I think it's a very fine line there. Because what you have to know is exactly what you just said, which is who benefits from, like, okay, let's sit down, crunch the numbers. Sometimes I'll yell, you'll respond. To who just needs, for lack of a better term, probably the wrong word, to be coddled a bit and just told, hey, it's okay. And I think this is where we're crossing into a very interesting piece of the landscape here, because it feels like you're losing that human touch a little bit more and more. And that's where I think the most valuable guys are the guys that get that it's a two-way street. And Trev, as you just said, not everyone can respond or is going to respond to the same thing. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's littered throughout the clubhouse, and you talk to any hitter, like, what's the most important thing as a hitter to have? And one of the first things anyone will ever say is confidence. Like, just give the guy some confidence. That's all.
Yeah.
How big or how important do you think it's going to be, Trev, that they changed out their hitting coaches? I know we talked about this a little bit last year. How important really is a hitting coach to wins and losses? But how big do you think this change could be? I don't know if you've spent any time with Matt Borg-Schulte, but I mean, what is your kind of takeaway from them kind of basically overhauling Popkins into Matt Borg-Schulte with a new hitting staff here?
So I don't know these guys that well. So I don't really, I've obviously read up on, new approach, what they're doing in batting practice. Very much seems like they're going back to like a Tom Kelly-esque, like, pregame routine. Like, we're running the bases in BP, where first round's going to be oppo. Like, I think, so if I'm reading the room correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you probably have talked a little bit more about these guys, but they're going back to a baseball strategy. And I think there's a great quote. This has been said before, but just Vinny Pasquantino just came out and said this. He said there's swinging is a science, hitting is an art. So there's two things there. Like you got to be able to coach the swing, and that is biomechanics, that is understanding, how to create leverage and where your weight transfer is, and bat path, all these things. I get that. That's a science, but hitting is an art. Like you have to be able to have a situational approach. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. And that's something that, even on the broadcast, we talked about that quite a bit. Was sometimes you got to move a runner. Sometimes you got to just get the guy in. And I think if we see more of that, I'll be very happy. Although again, I thought Popkins did a fine job. Now, maybe he missed a little bit of that hitting as an art part and became a little bit more of a science there, more of a swing coach. But if that is what's happening, and we are going to see a little bit more of that situational stuff, I think it's going to benefit the team. Because, again, I think we need an identity. This isn't a team of boppers necessarily. There are some guys that can do it. But the good offenses are able to score runs in a bunch of different ways instead of just one way.
Yeah. Who's your breakout, Trev?
So this one's I went on a limb here, I think. But we've seen it throughout the league. I'm going to go with Louis Varland.
Ooh.
Louis.
We've been waiting for this one for a couple years now.
Bullpen finally.
Well, yeah. Again, almost like a Trevor Plouffe thing. Tell him, hey, you're in the bullpen, man. Like, go be the best reliever you can be. Like, none of this, like, hey, you might start, you might not, it's like, you're in the bullpen. Let's see what you do to change, your pitch mix here, because typically you only need 2 pitches in the bullpen. So I don't know what that means for him, if he's going to drop one of his 4 pitches or whatever. But I think if you know that, and this is my path, I don't have to worry about keeping my arm ready to throw 4 innings on a whim. Whether I'm a 2-inning guy, whether I kind of see him as like, hey, let's like get this guy in there for 1 inning and let him do his thing. Like, I think that's more of his path. Maybe transitionally he does start out as getting 4, 5, 6 outs. I don't know if that's the plan or not, but I think letting him know that you're a reliever full time, go strike some dudes out. Like, just go let it eat. I think that's like his mentality. I think that is where he will thrive, because wrestler, all these things, but he's kind of got that like quick twitch, like can, excuse my language, he can like fuck you up, like put him on the mound late in innings.
I love this. Yes.
So I'm going Louis Varland.
I love that. Yes.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I am going to go with the former All-Star, the old man now, I guess, Ty France.
Yes.
I think Ty France re-breaks out. I think Ty France re-breaks out. So talk about a guy again who psychologically got goofed up, right? So he went into spring training a year ago with the Mariners and then was traded to the Reds. And according to Ty France, he was being fed, you should do this analytically. If you do that, and I believe it was with Seattle in June, he fouls a ball off his heel. He breaks his foot. He tries to play through that. Probably a mistake, but I admire it because he tried. But he also has talked about psychologically, mentally, he was a mess. Ty France has shown that he can play. Now, is he a perennial all-star? No. Is he the mess at the plate and at first base that he was in 2024? Probably not. So I think Ty France comes back and anchors it down. And again, free thoughts. He gets hugs, has a really nice rebound season.
That's
he gets
right.
some hugs.
A
he
feedback
gets some
sandwich.
Yeah. Trev says, you're doing a great job. You can win a Gold Glove at first base. He's like, Trevor Plouffe, thank you so much. Next thing you know, you got a ball player who's back.
I think most people are like that, by the way. Like, a little encouragement goes a long way.
No question.
Absolutely.
Especially if you live, if you're like on the internet whatsoever, like you appreciate a little bit of niceness every
Twitter,
once in a while.
let's see what they're saying. Ty France, you suck. Oh, thank you very much.
Don't read the comments. I like it. He also was a guy that could. Well, I don't have the home road splits up, but he had great years in Seattle, which is notoriously known as the worst.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that the park factor is more extreme negatively against Seattle than it is positively in course.
Yeah. It's crazy.
This guy hit there.
I mean, some of it is, it's uniquely placed right along the Puget Sound. And so there's wind factor, there's
sun,
the air is heavy, it's, the sun.
I've looked up my stats. So the two places people talk about all the time are Tampa and Seattle. Like, can't see the ball. Willie Adames complained for years about the Trop, and he couldn't see the ball. Goes to Milwaukee, has a great year. Yeah. Everyone complains about Seattle. My numbers in both those places are atrocious. they're so bad. I believe I have like a 262 OPS.
What?
262 OPS in Seattle over like 60 at bats.
Need to look this up now.
So it's not my fault, guys.
No, it's not your fault.
You've lived with this weight for years, thinking that you were just a pure failure in these two cities.
All I need is someone to tell me they
Pacific
love
Northwest,
me.
you can't play there. Never sign with the M's, okay?
Wow. Yeah, 9 for 62, Trev, at Safeco. 9 for 145 batting average.
Pretty
at the Trop, more at bats. 17 for 103. Yeah, 165. So sub 170 average at both parks.
But that's the thing also with Seattle is everyone complains about them not signing offense. Who the freak wants to go to play if you're a hitter in Seattle?
But at the Trop, if you connected, it was great, right? Because the Trop's a bandbox.
I don't think it was that hitter friendly.
Okay.
But then if you hit a real moonshot bomb, it hits off the catwalk and now it's a double or with something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Trevor mentioned this guy in passing. He is my breakout player, Matt Wallner. Now, I know that he's showing you flashes of breakout, like platoon breakout, but I'm going to give you the full season breakout here for Matt Wallner. So if he can do anything against left-handed pitching, I think it's a 30 home run season for him. Here's what's crazy. Against right-handed pitchers last year, he had a 953 OPS. That is the exact same OPS as Juan Soto's career OPS against all pitchers. So against right-handed pitching, Matt Wallner was Juan Soto. We just need him to be I don't know. So can he be something not quite Juan Soto? Now, Justin Morneau, for the first 3 years, not to make a direct comparison because Morneau is one of the great Twins of all time, MVP 2006, but Morneau could not hit lefties for the first 3 years in the big leagues. It took him well over 250 games to figure out. And then it was 2 months into his fourth season, and it was June of 2006. He debuted in 2003, and boom, the light bulb went off after just a certain amount of plate appearances. So it is not unusual for left-handed hitters to need age 24, 25, 26, 27 to really figure out how to hit major league left-handed pitching. So I think this might be the year that Matt Wallner does just that.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are hesitant to talk about Matt Wallner in a positive way, but I think this guy is I just said I think he can get MVP votes this year. I think he is that type of player. I do. Obviously, the splits are there, but eventually you just got to let him do it. And Morneau's talked about that. How are you supposed to get better at hitting lefties if you don't hit lefties?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the time, the at bats under. But I could have named Matt Wallner for all these. I'm a Matt Wallner truther. He's been that good and kind of I guess very under the radar, especially to a national crowd that watches baseball that isn't in Twins territory. Probably don't even know who Matt Wallner is, but I think they will after this year.
I like it. A couple more categories here, but a quick shout out to our friends at Kieran's. Kieran's Irish Pub, just steps away from Target Field and Target Center. Lovely some Kieran's. We're going to tip them on back. Well, I shouldn't be tipping them back because I'll be with Mackie and Judd doing a Twin Show podcast on opening day from the home opener. I will not be tipping any back, but you should come out, tip some back at Kieran's. We'll be out there from 1 to 2 o'clock when they host the Astros here next week. That'll be a blast. Go stop into Kieran's. Great game day specials. Great place to watch the game as well.
Also, had Dennis Kirk on board helping to power the SKOR North Twins Show in 2025. And you can join Dennis Kirk. It's right on the verge of riding season. And they are celebrating as the title sponsor of the 36th annual Donnie Smith Bike Show this weekend at the St. Paul River Center. That's Saturday and Sunday, March 29th and 30th. And it's the official kickoff to spring riding season with some of the best motorcycle builds in the country and the largest indoor swap meet as well. Visit the Dennis Kirk booth, spin the wheel for a chance at some awesome prizes, and celebrate the kickoff to spring riding season, the 36th annual Donnie Smith Bike Show at the St. Paul River Center this weekend.
Okay, Twins Rookie of the Year. And by the way, these what's up, Trev?
I didn't know how to answer this question. There's not a lot of rookies on this team.
Yeah,
got
so
one, yeah.
I should have disclaimed to you, you are allowed to pick someone that's like in the minors. Like you are allowed to pick someone at AAA, for example.
Yeah, I'm not.
So, like,
this is not where I thrive, guys.
it's not where you thrive?
Fine.
I know the names, but I don't.
fine.
Until they christen themselves as real major leaguers,
All right.
Trevor doesn't even
I'm
make
more
eye
of a
contact.
Blake. I'm Blake Snell in that category. I don't know if you guys remember that quote.
What's quote?
I don't think I do.
When Xavier Edwards got traded for whoever, he called him a slapdick prospect.
That's a great term.
I think
Okay.
you are until you aren't. Like you are.
Yeah.
I love
a
it.
slap. You know.
We should
what,
rename the
still.
category the best slapdick
Slapdick
prospect.
who might emerge, but
seen
might not too.
I've seen too many guys come up and like, it's the big leagues, you know.
Yeah.
So I am.
Well, we could throw a couple. Judd, you throw
I got
one.
one.
Throw
Luke
a couple.
Keyshaw. Luke Keyshaw comes to
Okay.
save the day at second base. He had a good spring. I don't know. I mean, best case, Julian's right. Everything's right. He comes out of the gate. Second base, he's fine. God forbid he plays first, but he plays second. He plays it well. That's the best case. But if he doesn't, Castro is such a valuable, left field, third base, second base, that I don't know that you want to define him or tie him to one place. So Luke Keyshaw comes up and is the Twins Rookie of the Year, playing second base, and is just a steady player.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'll give you this one here. Okay. So you might be shocked that this person is still a rookie because he did make 9 starts last year, but as long as you didn't have 40 days or 45 days before September of service time, and he had like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before September, as long as you don't eclipse 50 innings pitched or a certain amount of plate appearances, Zebby Matthews is still a rookie in 2025.
Yeah.
And my only thing is in the minor leagues, he is one of those strike pumping. He gets you some strikeouts, but he does not walk anyone. In fact, in his minor league career, he averages 1 walk per 9 innings, which is crazy. He might be a little too over the plate for the major leagues, so I worry about how hittable he was in those 9 starts. But I also think he might be, if Chris Paddock can't hold up durability-wise, or if somebody else goes down, I think he's the first guy with the spring training he had. So give me the Zebster.
Good one.
The Zebmeister.
Zebby's my pick as well. And honestly, Trev, I actually encourage you, go watch some of those slapdick pitching prospects that the Saints potentially have there in their starting. It's like a fun, legitimate rotation that I actually can see all 5 of those guys eventually contributing to the Twins. They got the knuckleballer, Corey Lewis, who's apparently throwing an 87-mile-an-hour knuckleball, which is nutty. They have a lot of interesting pitching prospects down there. I'll go with Zebby too. I think he eventually does get up here. But this will be a fun one to watch because they do have some nice pipelines in St. Paul that probably will contribute to this year's team.
Yeah.
Don't make me like a minor league hater, okay? I'm just saying I don't pay attention to it that much. I
Call
do.
him slapdicks, Trev.
I actually
No, it is a Snell called him slapdick.
Right.
Trev was relaying the quote.
That's great.
and maybe you guys answer this for me, but I thought Festa was going to be part of this rotation. Is it just like a Paddock's making this much money and this was the plan all along type thing?
He had a terrible spring.
I mean, Festa walked the
I know he
entire
didn't have a good
county of Lee County.
How many times we say spring numbers don't matter?
Yeah.
Like now, they don't matter when they matter. I don't know.
They matter. I think 95% of them don't matter, except if you can't throw the ball over the plate and you're a fringe. It's like if you're a pitcher and you walk 10 guys in spring training and you're on the fringe, that could definitely get you.
But if he had another year under his belt, we wouldn't be saying that. Just because we only saw, 13 starts out of him last year, we're holding him to a different standard. I get it. I understand. Just saying.
Yeah,
I think he'll contribute mightily to the team this year.
Agreed.
And then he'll no longer be a slapdick prospect.
Yeah.
Once he does
He'll
that.
be a major leaguer. How about dream trade deadline target? Let's go to the trade deadline here, baby. Let's go all the way down. Twins are contending. Coach Trev, give me a name that you would love to see the Twins go after at this year's trade deadline.
Well, I'm hoping that Ty France works out. Okay, Judd. I really hope that it all works out. But I'm going to go first base here, and I'm going to go with the guy who I think actually might be available and might solve some of like the depth problems, or I guess they're not problems for the Red Sox. So that's a good thing to have. Tristan Casas would be my dream trade deadline candidate because they have almost too many players right now. Move Rafael Devers to DH. He doesn't really want a DH. So, hey, put Devers at first base. Let Tristan Casas come over. Twins have the prospect capital to do that. We heard some of the packages that were going on for him during the offseason. I think the Twins could figure that out. Plus, he's controllable. He wasn't great last year, had some health issues. But I think there's a ton of – I think that he's a guy that could really blossom into something quickly. I think he has the mentality for that. And I think the Twins, put him there. You'd have him at first base for the next 3 years. Defensively, not great, but put me out there with them. I've always said defense is one thing that you can get better on just by working hard at it. So, I like Tristan Casas, man. I really do.
The team control thing is
that's nice.
They're not usually the big rent-a-player splashy team.
Yeah.
So that would make some sense.
Ty France is so hurt right now, Trev.
He's devastated.
Ty France is at home, bundled up, crying. He's like, I thought this guy believed in me.
He's devastated. Okay, I went first base as well, but I went the total opposite. You went multiple years of team control, upside, former first round pick who's trying to make a career out of it here. I'm going full on rental, 0 chance they would sign this guy to an extension, and it would require his team to be very disappointing in the first half of the season. But Vladdy Jr., come on down to Target Field. Come on down to Target Field.
Twins TV, man. Everyone's subscribing now.
They're about to offer him $550 million. I don't know if he's coming.
I think just you can play out the stretch run, and then you can go sign for somebody else. I think the thing I have criticized Derek Falvey for the most is in the 8 years of him overseeing baseball ops, they've been in contention or better 6 times in 8 years. They've had one meaningful trade deadline splash, and it was a train wreck. It was Tyler Mahle. They made a bunch of big moves in 2022. So if you've got the team and you're a player or two away, be aggressive at the trade deadline. And I don't know that you could be much more aggressive than 3 months of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first base. And he's kind of a butcher at first base. But you know what? If I'm going to get the bat that goes along with...
What's the price tag?
Gold glove, didn't he?
Off a name, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he had 10 errors at first base last year.
Palmeiro won one and played 10 games at first base.
It's different now. They've gotten better with it. Used to just be a completely offensive award, but they've gotten better with it.
Yeah.
What's the return? What's that trade? So if you're gonna
just a bunch of slapdick prospects, it doesn't matter.
Just toss them all in there. Who cares?
Here's another slapdick for you, and there's another slapdick. Let's say you can take the whole farm system.
Go look at your team's top 10 prospect list over the years and tell me how many of them you
right.
know.
You're right.
It's wild. We've done this exercise.
One of my favorite games to play.
In the moment, I remember I think it was 2010. It was my first or second year covering you guys on the beat. You were still a slap dick.
I was a real slap dick.
But I remember the big conversation was Cliff Lee was available, but the Twins would have to put Aaron Hicks in a trade for Cliff Lee, and that was a bridge too far. And Aaron Hicks turned out to be a good major league player. But can you imagine adding Cliff Lee to that 2010 team and put him in that number 1, Pavano, Liriano?
Yeah, I would have liked that. My playoff bonus would have went up a little bit.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Judley, how about you?
I am going to go, and this is actually a guy that we've discussed before. I'm going to go Dylan Cease. I think it's realistic. I don't know he gets to the deadline, but just as far as guys that I could acquire, the Padres, much like the Twins, are hurting financially. Their ownership situation's a complete mess. There's lawsuits, blah, blah, blah. So they are up against it like the Twins a little bit. But Dylan Cease, to me, realistic. Price tag wouldn't be cheap, but what? I believe that he's in his walk year as well. So it's not a contract with term. So I think that you could work out a trade that would be not cheap, but would be a trade that Derek Falvey could sleep at night with. I think if you put Dylan Cease in this rotation, 1, depth, but 2, top end depth, I think it would take the Twins from, I don't know, to okay, this is really impressive pitching wise.
Love that one.
I like that.
I have a pitcher too. I had Dylan Cease written down yesterday, and then I changed it. Give me, even though I love this rotation too, and you need as much pitching as you possibly can come postseason time. Give me Sandy Alcantara
I knew
in
you were
Miami.
going
He's on my list
wow.
too.
Sandy.
Went there too.
Sandy, love
on my
me some
list, too.
Sandy.
The Sandman.
He's got term.
Back from Tommy John. He has term. He has a team option through 2027, but he's going to make $17.3 million this season and next season. Coming off that Tommy John, but now is healthy, good to go. Won the Cy Young in 2022. This dude's a horse. He just pitches. We just talked about guys that don't pitch into the seventh inning. This dude threw 6 complete games, 9 over the last 2 seasons he's played. Sandy, give me some Sandy. Reunite with Pablo. Pablo and Sandy back in the same rotation.
Oh my gosh.
Sign me up, baby. Let's go. It's gonna cost.
I love it. I love the team control. Brand new elbow. Let's put some more miles on that thing. Who cares? The 17 figure is cheap for a pitcher of his caliber.
Yeah.
You have the option if things go south. $2 million buyout on as well. I had him written down, but I think Peter Bendix down there is gonna every team's gonna be trying to pry
Sandy.
Sandy. So I think he's going to have his options full, and I think it is going to require a big haul, especially with those years of control. And he's looked good in spring training too. So I would love that too. I still think, again, and this is, gosh, man, hope nobody hears this on the Twins pitching staff. I still think they need like you said, a top end, shut it down no matter what stopper guy.
Yeah, that's fair. And then imagine if Pablo is your number 2. And
That's
then
great.
and
Pablo's
then Joe
awesome.
Ryan and
Pablo, Joe Ryan, and Bailey Ober are top 25 pitchers in the game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't
And
put any of them top 10. But
Yeah, they're all
someone-
between 10 and 30 somewhere.
And someone is going to get hurt eventually. That's the thing too. Because now you've got depth. That's the thing is, if you have that depth and that shut down guy, I think it changes everything, because it also means playoff wise that you're going into playoffs in really, really good and confident shape.
Yeah. Let's make this happen. You can fleece the Marlins too, right?
Yeah, they're the Marlins, for God's
They're
sake.
they're like the dumbest guy in your
I don't
fantasy
know.
league. Just call him up and see what happens.
The Yankees will
looks
call
pretty
them
smart.
The Mets will
Whenever I
call.
look at him, that guy's smart.
That's fair.
Coach Trev Tuesdays. We're back, baby. We're back every Tuesday right here on the Twins YouTube channel, the SKOR North podcast feed. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, go find Trev's work at John Boy. And then you're calling games again this year too, right, Trev?
I have 20-something games. I don't start until the end of May, unfortunately. I want to get going. I'm excited about this season, but I'll be out in Minnesota for 1 week. The rest of them will be on the road. But yeah, I'm back. Can't wait.
Love it.
Oh, yeah,
What week are you in the Twin Cities?
I could get it up. I think it's in June.
Okay.
Maybe the Milwaukee series. Is there a Milwaukee series?
There's a Milwaukee series in June, yeah.
All right, now I'm going to have to
go.
tell you. June 20th through the 26th, Milwaukee and Seattle.
Okay. We may have to stumble into Kieran's or somewhere.
Yeah, let's go into Kieran.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Butcher in the Boar or something. We'll find
Absolutely.
something.
I like to
SKOR
have a
North Twins Show.
beer every once in a while. Okay.
Just every couple seasons.
You're in good
one
shape
beer.
still.
Here
I am
and
in
there.
good shape. And I got tennis to get to right now. I got
All right.
Love it. Thanks,
Enjoy.
Trev. Appreciate you, buddy. Hit the like button, subscribe button. SKOR North Twins Show.